Take a moment. Take a breath. In and out and in again. Take in the world. Take in the fear. It's intoxicating, isn't it? I can't get enough, honestly. Consume, 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 crash. Take a moment. Take a breath in and out and in again. Consume, 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 crash. Repeat. Repeat. Repeat over and over and crash again. How do you carry on? I forget how to breathe. How do you produce? I can't remember my own name. How do you cope? How do you deal with the intense feeling, the guilt? Guilty that you leave, guilty for staying in, for working, for stressing, for planning or retreating, guilty for wasting time, and what is time anyway? Hands on the clock spinning round and round and round, time and time again, completing the same cycle, the same 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 60 days, 16,000 hours since I felt like myself. Frankly, it's overwhelming. I go from crying to laughing to stressing and crying again. It's an emotional relay. I'm caught in a loop, a cycle where I push everyone away only to miss them when they leave, and I hate myself for it. See, that's the guilt. So I'm wondering, how do you get rid of that part anyway? They say time. Well, how much time? How much is enough? And how do I know when I'm done? How much of myself is sacrificed to this endeavor? And will it be worth it? Can I afford this? How can I afford this? How can I avoid this? The guilt, because I can't pay any longer. I can't freely give of myself. There's not much left to share anyway. So how? It's all I can seem to hear nowadays. Take a moment, breathe, take a breath, even though you forget how, even though it's more comfortable to drown, to sink ever deeper into that sunken place we call comfort. It's comforting to be with your sorrow. You know him, you love her. It wakes you late at night and wraps you in itself, lying to you all the while, telling you things like, you deserve to be unhappy. You're not worthy of love. You should be ashamed of yourself. How do you think? Who do you think you are? How dare you attempt that? How do you cope? Breathe.
What are we so afraid of? Inside of ourselves, that we've constructed an entire world of disconnection and violence to protect us from ever having to look at ourselves.
You are watching me from afar, looking out for me and all my scars. How come I don't see that what you want is the best for me? What does your love do for me? I cannot breathe when you hold on too tight. Anywhere I go, never out of your sight. I don't want you to see. Our love is blind and there's only your sound. I'm afraid of heights, but you never come down. And I hear them. Drones flying and hiding my home. What you want from me? Drones rising and causing a storm with what they know.
We are all indoctrinated to protect whiteness. All of us. And a lot of people are coming to the conversation without an understanding of whiteness as culture. So what they hear is like, you're grouping white people, right? And no, I am speaking about the culture of whiteness and the people who are most indoctrinated into the culture of whiteness. We are all indoctrinated into the culture of whiteness because it is the dominant world paradigm.
Can you recognize my sudden phase? Tears cover my eyes, my traits have changed. Don't look at me like I misbehaved. This is not a crime, but in your prison I am safe. I cannot breathe when you hold on too tight. Anywhere I go, never out of your sight. You don't want me to leave. Our love is blind and there's only your sound. I'm afraid of heights, but you never come down. And I hear them drones flying and hiding my home. What you want from me? Drones rising and causing a storm with what they know.
Whiteness and white people are so bereft of humanity that they will have a conversation about whether another group of people deserve to live. That white people need to be talking about whiteness. Stop talking about how hard black people are suffering like that is happening in a vacuum. Like black people are suffering at the hands of some amorphous blob we call the system. Black people aren't suffering at an amorphous blob called the system. Black people are suffering at the hands of whiteness and white people who live inside the delusions of white supremacy and construct systems and structures to enact the delusions of white supremacy. And so the conversation doesn't need to be about whether or not, black people are struggling in the ghetto. The conversation needs to be about why white people made a ghetto. The conversation needs to be about why white people made chattel slavery. The conversation needs to be about why white people created redlining. The conversation needs to be about why white people created mission assignments in black and brown countries and then went to murder them. The conversation needs to be about why white people needed colonialism. White people need to start asking about their whiteness. Stop sitting around the table with your family debating about whether or not I deserve to live. The fact that you can have that conversation is the root. It is the root of the sickness that is white supremacist delusion. That white people actually have the right to sit around their kitchen tables and debate the humanity of other people's existence. Stop. When you find yourself in a debate about whether or not black people are worthy, the work is to stop in that moment and say, this conversation is white supremacy. Excavate it from yourself. Excavate it from yourself. So that we might all survive.